Hey there guys, it's Metro, and today we are continuing and potentially finishing the series of videos that we've been making where we compare and contrast all 6 tanks on the Battle of Azeroth beta. And hopefully you guys have been following the channel because about this time last week I decided that this week was going to be the week where we finally put the haters to rest and we gave Brewmaster the shake that everybody said I was not giving it. Now, perfectly fair criticism to say that I've been not spending much time on Brewmaster. I think the quintessential argument was that people were saying you might as well just say you're comparing 5 tanks because you're not actually playing Brewmaster. Totally fair. I understand why you guys would have said that, but now that is no longer the case. All right, so on Thursday and Friday I spent all the free time I had between Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday playing Brewmaster. We got it to 120. It is now 345 thanks to a pretty absurd gearing bug or glitch. I'm not sure how you would describe it, where at the time Arathi rares that were very easily killed were dropping 355 gear 100% of the time. So I was able to get him very geared up alongside a couple other tanks, and thankfully with that I was able to test a lot more Mythic Plus than I expected to test. Unfortunately nothing too crazy. I wanted to see, you know, higher, maybe like 7s and higher, but yeah, not a lot of people pugging those, and I guess not a lot of people pugging those with the people who are the gear level that I might be at, because, you know, even though 355 is pretty good, it's still not the best. So anyway, we spent a lot of time on Brewmaster, so we're going to talk a lot about Brewmaster today, and we'll talk about the other tanks as well. But regardless, I just want to let everybody know that this will probably be the last video in this series. We probably won't be, I don't think I'm going to be playing much beta. So if you're not aware, next weekend I'm actually going on vacation. I'll be gone for about a full week. And when I return, obviously the pre-patch will have been out already. So I'll miss the opening of the pre-patch. But at that point, I think I want to spend all my time on the pre-patch. So this Tuesday, this coming stream, I'll probably, very likely stream on the beta. We'll see. I don't know, because it's going to be the last time I ever get to do Mythic Plus on live as well. But I haven't decided yet. Anyway, so yeah, very likely going to be one of the last videos on beta stuff. So if you guys have any questions or anything you want to talk about, now's the time, all right? But we're not really going to say anything too new, especially for the other 5 tanks. But for Brewmaster, I have to say, I am very glad that you guys peer pressured me into playing Brewmaster a lot more, because I actually came to really enjoy it. And you were right, I definitely wasn't getting the full experience in the leveling dungeons. Once I got into Mythic Plus on the Brewmaster, it's a whole new game. Brewmaster has, if not the best, one of the best physical mitigation systems in the entire game. And, you know, I'm still learning it. I wasn't playing it great, but I could tell that I was mitigating a lot of damage. The only problem was I was having a lot of trouble keeping up with that amount of damage. Even though I was, you know, staggering a lot of it, I was having trouble regularly clearing it and regularly, you know, keeping my health high. That was the big problem that I had this weekend. Brewmaster played pretty well. I actually enjoyed, you know, the play style a bit, but yeah, the actual health pool that I had seemed very, it was kind of like I was constantly between 40 and 60%, which, you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because when you're staggering so much damage, you're obviously going to be passively taking a lot of damage, but also never really in any danger. But at the same time, I'm just way more comfortable being at like 90+% health, like you might be with pretty much every other tank. And I think Bear just does that better. So in terms of physical mitigation, I think they're very strong, but I definitely think that they're just a slight notch lower than Bear. You guys are probably going to disagree with that. That's fine. But for me, the value of a full health pool is actually very important, especially when mistakes can be made, you know. If we're talking about a situation where you need to potentially maximize your entire health pool to be able to survive, something like a Bear or, you know, really any other tank that has real self-healing is going to be able to keep themselves closer to full health and still reduce the, you know, they might not reduce as much as Brewmaster, but, you know, without the healer's maximum input, you're going to have a lot more self-sustainability, even without self-healing. So that was really the ultimate problem I found with Brewmaster, was that even though I was mitigating so much damage and my health was kind of, you know, it wasn't spiky. I think that's the main thing. Very comfortably average my health pool felt, but never spiky. The big problem was that the healer was, like, I mean, I'm talking about like 20+ K HPS, you know, about 70% of it going into me, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like that's a very good thing. And I feel like it puts a lot of stress on the healer, requires the healer's full attention to be focused on you, even though realistically you're never in any danger. If you didn't actually get self-healing, yeah, you probably wouldn't survive for long. So the things that I noticed that I really did like about Brewmaster was, healing elixirs is a really strong talent. A lot of people were telling me to take Bob and Weave. Originally, I had Guard, but people convinced me pretty early on Friday's stream to switch from Guard and take the other talent, High Tolerance, I believe it's called. And that seemed to work out pretty well. I really like Guard. Guard is one of the marquee reasons why I would consider playing Brewmaster. I like the functionality of it, and frankly, it's kind of a nostalgia thing, as we've talked about many times by now. But yeah, Guard itself is apparently not great. They nerfed it. I guess it used to be I think it's 14-second duration. Now it seems like it's 7 or lower. I wasn't really 100% sure. But they massively increased the amount of the absorb. So I do think that Brewmaster is still going to be a great raid tank, and I do think Guard is going to be great for actual raiding, where you're constantly seeing that high stagger. But I don't know. You guys will have to tell me. What do you think? Where Guard's place is right now? I guess it just compares poorly to High Tolerance, and I think Blackout combo was nerfed pretty heavily as well. So these things are, yeah, relatively big concerns for Brewmaster. But I don't really, I don't play one enough to know for sure. But regardless, the rest of the talents, I don't know. I didn't feel like they had very interesting choices. But of course, coming at this from a very low effort perspective, let's put it that way. I didn't spend a lot of time looking at talents. But the one thing everybody kept telling me was to take Bob and Weave instead of healing elixirs. And frankly, I just cannot play the tank without at least some sort of heal. I'm so used to seeing health pool at 60% and trying to raise it with my abilities, playing pretty much every other tank, that it's honestly impossible for me to play without some type of healing spell. So I found healing elixirs to be a very good heal. In fact, when I used it properly and got the maximum usage out of the CD plus the Expel Harm heal, I was doing a lot of self-healing. And you can still actually cast heals on yourself, which is something we talked a lot about with Prop Pally, but realistically can be even more important for a Brewmaster, even though heals for a lot less. And I don't know if you could stagger damage while you're casting. I'm not 100% sure on that. If you guys do know, let me know. But I'd say the main thing, the thing that I absolutely fell in love with on Brewmaster, which never thought I would say this, but fell in love with on Brewmaster, was the statue. This thing is so good, it is unbelievable, and I have now a much healthier respect for Brewmaster's utility. That statue is insane. It's pretty much guaranteed threat. But, as you might have seen on the stream, you have to use it very well, very meticulously, actually. Because if you place it even one or two, so first of all, it's a 30-yard aggro draw, right? It'll pull any mob in the game within 30 yards of it to it. And a lot of the times, it actually keeps threat. So there was many times where I would drop it, roll in with, spinning, rushing, whatever, serpent kick, marmot punch, whatever it's called, and then keg smash and breath of fire, and the mobs are still attacking the statue. That's value right there, guys. If the statue has threat over me and the damage dealers, that's pretty good. That's a tank CD as well as a threat utility. But regardless, the real value of it is that no matter what's going on, you could taunt it and it will aggro everything to you, which is very good, especially since it applies the taunt debuff. So you could smash it with that keg and then breathe fire on it, and it will take a lot of extra threat from those two combos there. So and the best thing about it was, inevitably when I died, I could roll back up there, drop it again, and AoE taunt everything to me. Now, the AoE taunt's not going to get everything because it's going to be running around killing random enhancement shamans who are pulling threat and blaming me for that. But regardless, I think it's the only thing in the game like that. There's not really any other AoE taunts minus Paladin, which we didn't really test or try too much. But realistically, if you ever die and get a res, you're not getting threat back. There's no way you're getting threat back after dying and getting a res outside of an AoE taunt. So that's very valuable. But yeah, in general, the mobility, I really loved. Brewmaster's mobility was a lot of fun to deal with. Roll is not great. It's like, I'd say they're comfortably the third best utility. I definitely think Demon Hunter and Warrior are a lot better because they have things that could jump over things, which is a big problem for Brewmaster. But regardless, it's very comfortable mobility. Their physical mitigation is outstanding. They have no real magic mitigation outside of whatever they actually have in their normal kit, which does disappoint me. I do miss the days of, what was the name of the spell? It was like a yellow icon with like a weird Chinese symbol in it. I can't remember. Dampen Magic or something like that? Yeah, that was a pretty cool spell, but that's no longer in the game, unfortunately. So, and then I still feel like their utility can be very vibrant, but really Ring of Peace is a very important utility. And now, especially after testing the statue, I don't know how you're going to take Ring of Peace. I think the statue is going to be mandatory, and it really gives them an edge. So I'm not comfortable where I would place them in 5-mans especially, but the statue is incredibly strong for actual threat situations. Your damage dealers are going to have it's basically a DPS increase. If you could guarantee that you have threat off the gate, then you're going to have a lot more damage available from your group. But yeah, outside of that, the main thing I'll always dislike about Brewmaster is this new mitigation model. I absolutely dislike it with every fiber of my being. I loved the mitigation model in MOP and even in WoD to some degree with Chi Explosion and all that. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and I just miss it. All right, so yes, I'm still, you could argue that I'm biased. I spent a lot of time. I'm more experienced now. I've more progressed on my Brewmaster now than any other character. I did the highest Mythic Plus, the most amount of Mythic Plus, and the most gearing that I've done on any character up until, the gearing bugs, whatever. I spent more time on the Monk than I did on any other character. So I think I can comfortably make an assessment of Monk, and I do like them. It's actually pretty fun. I think they're strong physical mitigators, but yeah, I'm never going to get over Guard and Elusive Brew. You know what I mean? Those being gone are something that I don't know. I can't move on from, unfortunately, but at least I gave it a shot. So thanks for sticking that out. Anyway, we'll go down the rest of the list for now. We'll start with Blood DK. Obviously, before we do this, I do want to say that I got the gear on 3 other characters besides Brewmaster. As you've seen, there's the Brewmaster set. I got it on Druid as well, same leather set. I got it on Paladin. The sword looks amazing, by the way, and I got it on Death Knight. Unfortunately, I started getting it on Demon Hunter, as you can see, but they actually patched it out as I was doing it. I only got 3 items on Demon Hunter, and then I didn't have any time for Warrior at all. So unfortunately, I don't. And let's start with Death Knight. So Death Knight, I have to say this: I got about 4% more haste from this gear. I didn't even try to get it. I didn't intentionally go for haste. I didn't replace certain gear with or without haste. 4% extra haste, up to 13.5% haste now. And man, is that a high difference. It's crazy. From the last time I did dungeons to the new time I did dungeons, with Heartbreaker and Bone Storm, plus a little bit extra haste, this class is really feeling strong. And the one thing I will tell you guys about this week, Bone Storm is unbelievable. As long as you could hit at least 2 targets with it, is going to do an absurd amount of self-healing. And frankly, I'm not ruling out using it on single target. I don't know. We've had this conversation a couple times. I can't get any real conversation started on this. So if you guys have an opinion on this, let me know. But I definitely think Bone Storm, no matter what, 100% at this point. It does so much healing. I use it on single target. I use it on AoE. And every time it was my second healing throughout the entire instance. Talking about single target, testing it on dummies, testing it on mobs out in the world while I was fighting these rares that, taking a couple minutes to kill occasionally. Bone Storm is doing more healing than everything else in the kit. And when I had it on AoE, if I actually had it up for the PAX pull, full 10 seconds, easily 50% of my healing. Top heal, Bone Storm, and it does a lot of damage. That spell is very strong. And if it doesn't get nerfed, Blood DK is yet again going to be an unbelievably potent self-healer and damage dealer in 5-mans. On top of that, we learned even more that Blood Plague and Blood Boil, these 2 things are going to equate to a lot of threats, okay? And I think right now Blood DK is the thing that I was having, well, I would say second best at keeping threat. Outside of the Brewmaster Taunt, we won't consider that because that's obviously something that no other tank has. In terms of just using your DPS abilities to keep threat, I think Blood DK is one of the second best at it. I'd say Prop Paladin's actually the best at it. We'll talk about that when we get there. But Blood DK's snap threat with 2 Blood Boils plus Blood Plague and Death and Decay, you're gravy, boys. That's all good. So I really enjoyed Blood DK. We did a couple Mythic Plus. I would like to get a couple more in, but the problem is I'm going on vacation next week, so I don't know when I'm going to do it. Hopefully this coming Tuesday, I'll be able to stream on the beta and do a lot more Mythic Plus. But I don't know. I haven't decided yet, like I said. Unfortunately, we didn't get to play Demon Hunter at all because of the gearing issue. Like I said, I originally wanted to focus just on Brewmaster until I found out about the gear, and then I wanted to test more Mythic Plus. But yeah, we didn't really see anything on Vengeance. I'll say the same thing just in summary of what I said in the past. Vengeance is clearly looking like the go-to tank for 5-mans. I think they will be the best. They have very flexible physical, and now we talked about this magic mitigation as well. You know, decent magic mitigation, not terrible, but they're very flexible. They can mitigate and heal a lot at the same time, which is something that, you know, not every tank can do. Even Blood DK struggles with that. And their mobility is very good. I'd say they are the most mobile tank outright. And they have, without question, the best offense currently, and without question, the best utility. There is not even a fathom of a doubt that they have the best, especially utility. I think their offense is still a little overpowered. They're not doing as much leech healing as they used to do in the past, minus the Charred Warblades Azerite, or no, the Artifact trait, of course. But they still do a fair amount of leech healing. It's about 30% of the healing I was doing. And their damage is mostly comprised of just 2 abilities, which is the green fire, whatever it's called. Ignore something. I can't remember. Inferno Shield? I don't know. Whatever the name of it is, you guys know more than I do. And Spirit Bomb. Those 2 things are going to equate to about probably 60+% of your damage. And that's a bit not very fun. I don't really enjoy that. I don't mind it. It's not like I dislike it, but Vengeance is... I feel like their rotation is quite stringent. Like, you just do 2 things, that's it. You build and you spend, and that's it. But the mobility keeps it very fresh for me. So I could see myself playing a Vengeance Demon Hunter. I am very sad that I didn't get the gear I wanted to get so I could actually test some good Mythic Plus. But, you know, maybe something will change in the next few days and we'll still be able to have time for that. But realistically, Demon Hunter was actually one of the things that I wanted to test the most. Now, Paladin, we did a couple good Mythic Plus on. I wanted to do some healing on Paladin, but I didn't get a chance to this weekend. But I will say Prop Paladin is feeling very, very, very sturdy. A lot of people have been saying that they find it the opposite, that they find that they are a lot spikier and even less bulky in general than they were in Legion, but I can't agree with that. We've done a couple decent Mythic Plus and you know, gearing in general on this character, and I always feel like I'm in good control of my own health pool. Unfortunately, they still have a pretty big problem with magic, even though, you know, the whole thing with standing in Consecrate, reducing damage, and spell warding, these things are not very, they're not very potent. They don't equate to a high amount of magic reduction overall, and they're not very, they're not usable pack to pack in such a degree that they would outrank other tanks. So my biggest problem was magic. We did a lot of self-healing with Paladin. The thing I like the most about them probably is self-healing. I even went so far to say that I think Prop Paladin might be the highest HPS tank in the game right now, because they have, of course, Lay on Hands. They have, of course, Light of the Protector, and they can cast Flash of Light. People are telling me, you know, we had back and forth on this. I'm still using it constantly. I don't seem like I'm getting killed by it. A couple times I used it when like 4 or 5 mobs were all meleeing me, and I got deleted by it when they were raging, especially. Not a good idea. But still, there's a lot of time that you can actually use this in combat, and since the pushback is gone, there's really not a harsh penalty for it at all. So the thing I love about Prop Paladin is the amount of damage they do. I was doing so much. I'm talking about like 25k DPS on large packs, and that's all because of no GCD, 3 charge Shield of the Righteous, plus Consecrate and Avenger Shield. Really, really good damage on top of wings. One of the only actual offensive CDs in the game for tanks outside of Avatar for warriors. So I really like Prop Paladin, and they are slowly rising up the list. I don't know. I'm still on the list. I'm still on the fence about this. I don't know if Druid's going to be my number 2, or now if Prop Paladin is going to be my number 2. But it was really fun doing 5-mans with them this weekend, and I have to say they have grown on me heavily, especially thanks to the self-healing model. Unfortunately, a couple of people really did ask for warrior stuff, but I got absolutely no gear on warrior at all. I didn't even have a chance to get any gear, so I really couldn't do any Mythic Plus on him. But, you know, the things that we've been saying in the last 7 or 8 videos we made on this topic still stand. I think Prot Warrior is an incredibly bulky mitigator on all fronts. They have a very nice magic kit as well, thanks to, you know, a multiple CDs like Shield Wall, Last Stand giving you health plus a big heal. And of course, Demo Shout being on such a short CD, being able to be kept up so often thanks to the Azerite traits. These things really help mitigate magic damage. And on top of that, they have Spell Reflect, which, yes, we know it can only reflect 1 spell, but the real point of interest for that spell is that it can reduce 15% for the duration of the spell, which is very nice. And, you know, reflecting a spell is probably going to be important. So we're still on the fence on that as well, whether or not Spell warding is going to be more valuable. Flat out immuning a spell or flat out reflecting a spell is going to be more valuable. We'll have to see once competitive Mythic Plus becomes a thing in BFA. We'll see and learn more about that. But regardless, I really like Warrior. They're definitely something I could see myself playing as well, especially because of how wide their utility kit is. I love having passive reduction or passive group. It's not a group wide reduction anymore. It's group wide health in Commanding Shout, and of course, an AOE stun is the friend of every tank. So it's very nice to have that. But yeah, unfortunately, you know, their mobility is great. Really, I like everything about Prot Warrior. It's just nothing's outstanding about them. So I could find myself kind of slumping on my overall opinion of them. Bear is something that we got a lot of interest in recently, and I played a lot and really enjoyed playing a lot this weekend. Bear was really bulky, and like I said when we talked about Brewmaster, I find that Bear is without question the most just naturally bulky spec in the game. If you're looking for the no brain, just sit there and don't take a lot of damage, keep Iron Fur up, and anytime you get hit hard, use Frenzy Regen. It's easy mode, and I kind of like that. I like how passive a lot of their playstyle is. Their mitigation and their defense, or mitigation and their offense, is quite passive, and I actually quite like that. I know a lot of people don't. I think a lot of people find that to be very boring, but I quite like it. So right now I'm really torn between Bear and Paladin, also because of how much healing these two can do, but I'm going to get some more time in this weekend. And, you know, if I learn anything else, we could talk about it maybe on the stream on Tuesday. But I could easily see myself number 2 right now. Obviously, Blood DK is going to be my main, but number 2 being Bear. So we did a good amount of Mythic Plus testing. I hope to do even more in the next few days. And if we learn anything else, we can make one final video. But just as a reminder, I am, again, going on vacation next week. Not that you guys care, but there won't be any videos or any further discussion on this. So this is the one. If you guys have anything you want to talk about or anything you want to alert me, let me know. In the last video, we had a pretty good discussion. We had some people who were very critical of the fact that I brought up the HP thing, but I think they were really missing the point. In fact, I asked them to elaborate on it, and they went radio silent. What a surprise. But regardless, this is the kind of conversation that I would want to have, if it's done respectfully, of course, by non-children. So if you have anything that you want to bring up about any of the tanks, I'd love to hear them. But right now, I have to say I have a much healthier respect for Brewmaster. I'm glad I spent the time on it. I'm glad we did Mythic Plus on it. I learned a lot about Stagger, a lot about Purifying, a lot about, you know, even kiting on them. Their lack of self-healing, but their bulk, their physical bulk, how they deal with certain situations. And I could enjoy it. I can enjoy it. In fact, my co-tank in the guild, Morgraine, very good guy, very good friend of mine, he said, I'm really glad that you gave Brewmaster another chance, if only because you'll know more about Brewmaster when I'm tanking, and we'll be able to help each other more on that front. And I think that is awesome. He's right entirely, and yeah, I could agree. It was pretty silly of me trying to do tank comparisons when I hadn't played Brewmaster. So I'm glad I finished it out. And I have to say, they're fun. I did enjoy it. I could see if you know, just if every other tank was deleted. You know what I mean? I really like the other tanks. It's just how it is. So anyway, thanks for watching. We will see you guys in the next one. From now on, we're probably, like I said, we've talked about this a bunch now. Probably not going to make any more videos on the series. But the next thing that I will be making on this series is the massive guide and comparison for all 6 tanks. That is going to be an extremely long video. The more I think about it, the more I'm thinking it might even be an hour. It's going to be full timestamps. I'm trying to go as in-depth as possible. So if you guys think I missed anything at all, or there's anything that you remotely think is even kind of interesting that needs to be included, let me know. I'm going to try to compare them on every facet that can be compared. Raids, 5-mans, DPS, survival, mobility, utility, you know, ease of play, complexity, anything that could be brought up. I'm trying to go as in-depth as possible. And what my plan was to do a brief overview of all 6 tanks and then talk specifically per topic. So for example, you know, give like a 5-minute discussion on each tank. That's going to get pretty lengthy already. And then have another maybe 5-minute discussion on each topic. So we talk about tanks in raids, and that's a 5-minute talk. And then tanks in 5-mans, 5-minute talk. And then, you know, compare them as much as we can. So that's the goal. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for all your guys' support. If you managed to watch all the videos in the series, if you watched every minute of the series, you guys are amazing. You guys are keeping this channel going, and that is awesome. This has been a really fun series. I've been really enjoying talking to you guys about tanks and sharing my opinion. So anyway, thanks for watching. We will see you guys in the next one. Hope you enjoy the pre-patch, which should be coming out pretty soon, and we'll see you guys after that, hopefully.